Is it visible? Is it visible? Please confirm.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. Let's start. The first topic is the plant essential element, basically macronutrients and micronutrients, which is required by plant for their growth, their processes, and their overall development. The nutrients basically are the elements which is needed by the plant to promote healthy tissues, processes, and the growth and reproduction and its overall development. So, nutrients required by plants are classified into two groups. One is macronutrients, other is micronutrients. As the name suggests, macro, which is required in a large quantity, जिन्हें ज़्यादातर जो plants के लिए ज़्यादा essential है. In a simultaneously, micronutrients are also essential. Okay, वो भी essential है. अगर वो नहीं होंगे तो भी उनकी ग्रोथ पे इम्पैक्ट होगा somehow, उनकी रिप्रोडक्शन फेज या उनका ग्रोथ फेज सफर करेगा. So in total there are 17 essential nutrients required for the plant, in which 9 are macronutrients and 8 are micronutrients. So starting 3, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, which is provided. And ये जो micronutrient है, except from carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, इनके sources basically to the plant are soil mostly, and sometimes fertilizers भी होते हैं, fertilizers form में भी डालते हैं अगर soils available ना हो तो, ठीक है. But the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, it is required by the plant, but it is not non-essential. We can say that क्योंकि ये air form में ही, मतलब air से ही उन्हें मिलते हैं, not from the soil. But besides carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, next 6, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK, these are the primary macronutrients, which is mostly present in the form of fertilizer we are given to the plant, NPK. And the rest.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Am I not audible? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Audible, ma'am.
Okay.
She's audible. She's audible.
Okay. NPK, these are the primary nutrients. Okay. And magnesium, sulfur, calcium, these are the secondary nutrients. And to remember this, एक mnemonics बोलती हूँ, which is quite funny. CHON, इसको आप बोल सकते हो कॉर्न, PK, मग से काफी. This is to remember the trick of macronutrient. Corn, PK, मग से coffee बोलो या काफी बोलो, to remember the calcium symbol. So you can using काफी instead of coffee. तो corn, PK, CHON, इसको ले लो corn, phosphorus and potassium, PK, magnesium मग से, और सल्फर भी उसी से आ गया काफी. To remember it, कि corn, PK, मग से काफी, these all 9 are micronutrients. Macronutrients. Another is micronutrients. These are copper, iron, manganese. Micronutrients is ये हमें less than 0.1 ग्राम ऑफ प्लांट ड्राई वेस्ट रिक्वायर्ड होती है. इतने से बना होता है, इतना ही चाहिए होता है. ये 10 mg के अराउंड 10 mg के मैक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट नेसेसरी होता है, जो हम अगर डिस्कस करेंगे. तो मैक्रो को याद करने के लिए निमोनिक्स है आपका कॉर्न, पीके, मग से काफी. ऐसे आप माइक्रो को याद रख सकते हैं, जो कि ऐसे नहीं है अरेंज, बट मैं बता देती हूँ. मैंगनीज का Mn, मंजन, क्यूनी, कर लेते, फिर ब्रेड को मुंह में डालो. तो इससे आपके सारे हो जाएंगे. ये मेरा है कि इस तरीके से मैं याद रखती हूँ, बाकी आप पर है, बट बता रही हूँ. मंजन, Mn, मंजन, Mn और Zn, सॉरी ये जिंक गलत हो गया सिंबल, Mn और Zn, मैंगनीज एंड जिंक, मंजन. क्यू नहीं कर लेते, क्यू कॉपर, नी निकर कर लेते नहीं है, फिर आयरन, ब्रेड को that is boron को कुछ नहीं है मुंह में मोलिबेडनम डालो. मंजन क्यों नहीं कर लेते में आपका क्लोरीन आ जाएगा. फिर ब्रेड को मुंह में डालो. दिस इज टू रिमेम्बर द मैक्रो एंड माइक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट. कौन पी के मक से काफी है, मंजन क्यों नहीं कर ले. नाउ अब हम एक एक करके इनको डिस्कस करेंगे. मैक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट्स का रोल क्या है, अगर डेफिशिएंसीज हो गई तो क्या अफेक्ट होगा प्लांट्स को, एंड किस फॉर्म में दे आर अवेलेबल टू प्लांट. I already discussed what is macronutrient. So quick, it is essential elements which is required in a large quantity for the plant growth and development. So primary are NPK and secondary are calcium, magnesium, sulfur, which required in lower amount as compared to the primary. And carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, they are non-essential macronutrients. They are required but not as much necessary as the rest of the macronutrients are. Their sources are soils and fertilizers, and these all have their distinct function necessary for the nourishing the plants. And they are constitute of 0.2 to 10 mg per gram of plant dry weight. तो यही है कि एटलीस्ट 10 mg per gram of plant dry weight तो चाहिए ही चाहिए आपको. ये रेंज है मैक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स की. दिस इज now discussing each one. First is nitrogen. Nitrogen plant को किस फॉर्म में अवेलेबल होता है, NH4 and NO3, and it is responsible for vegetative growth and the building block of protein in plant. मतलब it is involved in a protein synthesis or its vegetative growth. If there is a deficiency of nitrogen, then there will be a stunted growth, or we can say reduced growth is seen in plants, and the old leaves are turning into yellow. Another type of micronutrient is phosphorus, which should be present in a phosphate hydrogen form of phosphate to the plant. Dihydrogen phosphate and hydrogen form of phosphate to the plant. Through this, they are available to the plants. And phosphorus are involved in the component of nucleic acid. Basically, it is involved in the making of DNA, RNA, phospholipids, coenzymes, and high energy phosphate bonds. Also, it stimulates the flowering and seed development. And its deficiencies are slow maturity. Deficiency of phosphorus is slow maturity of the plants, and older leaves are purplish in color, mostly purplish in color. Next is potassium. It is potassium ion. It is available to plant as it's through its ion, potassium ion, and it is responsible for the opening and the closing of stomata. Okay, its main role is regulation of water movement against the across the membranes and through stomata. Thus, it also help in the opening and the closing of the stomata, and it is act as a catalyst of many enzymes. And it's also involved in an enzyme activity of the plant. Its deficiency lead to leaf marks in necrosis and browning. Basically, leaves जो है वो आपका necrosis turn हो जाएगा थोड़ा से, and browning हो जाएगा. And older leaves are most affected if there is a potassium deficiency. Next is calcium. It is also available in the calcium ion to the plant. Its ion is in the form of ion. It is also a component of cell wall, or it is involved in a cell membrane function. And its deficiency cause stunted growth. Growth will be stunted, leaf distortion, and short tip death. The question may be asked, will be asked on the basis of the deficiency, or which is the macronutrient and which is the micronutrient. Mostly asking the which is the micronutrients and which is the macronutrient among the given options. So just remember all the 9 macronutrients and 7 micronutrients. Okay, and just go through their function and the deficiency. Sulfur, it is available to plant in the form of sulfate, and it is also the component of amino acids that is help in a protein synthesis. It promotes root growth, and it is essential to protein formation, and its deficiency leads to young leaves, light green. Young leaves are light green with lighted color veins. Basically, फ्लोरोसिस दिखेगा आपको, लाइटेड कलर वेन दिखेंगी, एंड ग्रोथ विल बी स्टंटेड. मैग्नीशियम, मैग्नीशियम आयंस में ही अवेलेबल है प्लांट्स के, एंड इट इज अ कोर कंपोनेंट ऑफ क्लोरोफिल मॉलिक्यूल. ओके, एंड इट इज also act as a catalyst for certain enzyme activity. So here magnesium का main function है आपका chlorophyll molecule में. Okay, and in the deficiency of this you can find a yellow spots on the old leaves, or there is a interveinal chlorosis, means जो intervenes होंगे वो less chlorophyll, मतलब उसमें less chlorophyll present होगा, वो yellowish आपको दिखेगा. Okay, green की जगह बहुत yellowish दिखेगा, distinguishable होगा. Then other are the carbon, which should be given to plant as a carbon dioxide and bicarbonate, and you all know carbon is help in the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, and also it play a role in a plant structure and its growth. And if there is a deficiency, then there may be you can see a slow growth, because, and also if there is a carbon deficiency, so photosynthesis bhi maybe late hoga, then yes, there will be a slow growth. Then oxygen, it is available in the form of water form to the plant in a water, and it help you in the respiration or energy production. And if it is noted that if there is some deficiency, but there is some oxygen scarcity, you can see a deficiency mostly in a root. Basically, brown and mushy rod type roots are found and leaves are drooping. Hydrogen, it is also available as a water form to the plant. It helps in the water retention and the pH regulation, and there is no such deficiency is applicable to hydrogen. So this is a brief introduction about the macronutrients. Now we are going to the micronutrients. There are also sources of soils and fertilizers, and it is constitute less than or equal to 0.1 mg per gram of plant dry weight. ये याद रखना है कि क्या डिफरेंस है. मैक्रो एटलीस्ट not more than 10 mg, but at least उतना चाहिए, and plant को ये less than या equal to 0.1 mg चाहिए होगा. Okay, and it is required for their growth and reproduction. So micronutrients are boron, copper, chlorine, iron, manganese, molybdenum, zinc, and nickel. So let's discuss about this boron. It is available in the form of H3PO3 and borate. That it is involved in a carbohydrate metabolism, essential for flowering and pollen germination, and nitrogen metabolism. Most of the micronutrients you will find that involved in some carbohydrate metabolism or in a nitrogen metabolism, nitrogen transformation, okay, translation, okay. And if there is a deficiency, then you will see dead shoot tips, leaves become twisted and die. Iron, it is available as its ionic form to the plants, and it is an important component of cytochromes, and it is essential for chlorophyll production, and also it is essential for the nitrogen fixation. If there is deficiency of iron, then you will see the interveinal chlorosis in young leaves, stunted growth, slender and short stem. Copper, it is also present in an ionic form. It's ionic form to the plant. It involved in a enzyme activity and the carbohydrate metabolism, and its deficiency is showing yellowing of leaves, rough and blistered bark. When it bark pe bhi, there is a deficiency of corpus can be seen. It is rough and blistered. Then manganese, manganese Mn plus 2. It is required for chlorophyll synthesis, help in nitrogen transformation, synthesis of role in various compounds, and if there is a deficiency, the brown necrotic spots, interveinal chlorosis, white or gray spots on leaves can be seen. Another are zinc. It is also available as its ionic form to the plants. It is involved in a protein synthesis, also involved in a synthesis of indole acetic acid, and it helps the plant metabolism function. Its deficiency is a growth suppression, obviously decrease in a growth, and there will be reduce in the internode length. Molybdenum also present is its ionic form to the plants, required for nitrate reductase activity, vitamin synthesis, or it aids nitrogen fixation and protein synthesis. As I already said, most of the micronutrients are involved in the nitrogen fixation or the protein synthesis. And if what are its deficiency? Marginal scorching and cupping or rolling of leaves, yellow older leaves, and stunted. Same as the chlorine, it is involved in a light reaction of photosynthesis. Also, it aids shoot and root growth. And if chlorine is not present, there is deficiency, then it will cause chlorosis, wilting, and bronzing of leaves. Nickel, used as a catalyst and enzyme, and fix nitrogen in legumes, stunted growth, and its deficiency cause stunted growth. Nickel is required by plant in a very small amount. Generally, you will find up to seven micronutrients, but nickel is also there, and there are cobalt is also there, but it required in a small amount. Okay, so this is a brief introduction about the macro and micronutrients. I hope it's clear. You need to I have seen the question. The question will be not on the function and the deficiency, maybe in a future, but they mostly ask the from the above given option, which is the macronutrient, or which is the essential nutrient. You just don't remember these all 17 nutrients, 9 macro and 8 micronutrients. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now moving further, we will discuss about the basic of ecology. Okay, in this we are going to discuss about the ecosystem, which is the key functional unit of ecology. Okay, so what is ecosystem? If I say in a very lame language or in a very easy language, interaction between the abiotic and biotic components, simple, and their surrounding. This is a very easy language to understand the ecosystem, where there is a biotic component और abiotic component, and उनके बीच में जो interaction होता है उसी को ही हम ecosystem कहते हैं. Okay, system एक system है, इकोलॉजिकली फिक्स सिस्टम जिसके अंदर हम रह रहे हैं, एंड अपने उस सिस्टम में हम कैसे एक दूसरे के साथ इंटरेक्ट कर रहे हैं, उसी को ही हम इकोसिस्टम कहते हैं. ओके, so the term ecosystem was coined by A.G. Tansley in 1935. And अगर एक given कहेंगे definition एक proper, so it is a set of species in a given area that interact among themselves. वो खुद में भी interact करते हैं through a process of predation, parasitism, competition and symbiosis. Okay, and also with their abiotic environment and become the part of cycle of energy and nutrient. Basically जो बायोटिक कंपोनेंट्स है या लिविंग कंपोनेंट्स है, और इजी लिविंग एंड नॉन लिविंग में हम इंटरेक्शन देखते हैं, वो लिविंग टू लिविंग इंटरेक्शन भी शो करते हैं एंड लिविंग टू नॉन लिविंग इंटरेक्शन भी शो करते हैं. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम देम वो एक एनर्जी साइकिल का और एनर्जी और न्यूट्रिएंट का फ्लो करते हैं एक सिस्टम That is called an ecosystem. So key points to remember about the ecosystem: it is a set of a community of a plants and a animals which interact with each other. Also, they interact with the air with abiotic factors like sun, climate, weather, air, water. Okay, and ecosystem is self-sustaining and self-regulating, means it should attain stability. Okay, you know, without any external help, they should attain a state of stability. Okay, so in a type of ecosystem are natural ecosystem or man-made ecosystem. Our natural ecosystem is further divided into a terrestrial. Terrestrial means related to the land, where you can find abundance of species and density of living organism is quite high. Species abundance is there and their density is quite high as compared to aquatic. Okay, and the terrestrial are further divided into, which will be discussed here, into grassland ecosystem, tundra, taiga, temperate, tropical, forest, desert, further divided into grassland, forest, desert ecosystem. And aquatic ecosystem, this ecosystem is related to this is a type of ecosystem, okay, related to water, which encompasses the aquatic flora, fauna, and water properties, which is further divided into a freshwater ecosystem, which is only cover the 0.08% of the Earth's surface, and it is also divided into two: a running water system, which is river or stream, or standing water system, which is ponds or lake. Or we can also say that the standing water system is can be lentic because it is slow moving, and running water system ko you say low tech. That fresh water system are three kind of, basically. One is lentic, which is a running water system, please note that, and the standing water system, which is ponds and lake, lentic and low tech. And third type is wetland, which is known as a kidney of earth because its primary role is the filtration of water. So this is a freshwater system types, and another is a marine water, which is cover the 7% of the earth's surface and high amount of minerals and salt. There high amount of minerals and salt is present in a marine ecosystem, and these examples are seas, oceans, salt marshes, estuaries. Okay, and third type of ecosystem is man-made or artificial, which is operated or maintained by a man himself, like agriculture land, cropland, gardens, aquariums. These are all the artificial ecosystem which is made by the men. So this diagram show the further diversification of your land ecosystem. Sorry, forest ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, which is according to the temperature or the dryness. Like in Arctic region, you will find tundra or taiga, but here it is in tundra. So basically, tundra, in this region you can't find any tree. Okay, ये एक पर्मा फ्रोजन कंडीशन में होता है, ठीक है, पर्मा फ्रॉस्ट कंडीशन में होता है. And in this region you mostly found lichens and mosses. Okay, mosses. And here maximum temperature would be, तो ये आर्टिक रीजन में है तो ऑब्वियसली देयर टेम्परेचर शुड बी 0 to 5 डिग्री मैक्स, इतना ही होता है. एंड हियर यू कैन फाइंड लो लाइन shrubs. Tundra and taiga both are in a Arctic region and both are almost same. Tundra or taiga, there is little bit difference in tundra and taiga, maybe around some temperature, but both are in your Arctic region. Next is boreal forest. Okay, यहाँ पे बेसिकली आपको जो क्या कहते हैं ट्रीज तो नहीं मिलेंगे, श्रब मिलेंगे, बट इन अ स्कैटर्ड फॉर्म. इन दिस रीजन आपकी कोल्ड डिपोजिशन ज्यादा होती है इस रीजन में, क्योंकि यहाँ पे आपका जो बायोमास होगा, मतलब जो कोल बनता है लिविंग फॉसिल फ्यूल से, आई मीन डेड फॉसिल फ्यूल्स ऑफ प्लांट्स, वो ज्यादा मिलेगा। तो यहाँ पे कोल के चांसेस इस लैंड में ज्यादा है। एंड यहाँ पे स्कैटर्ड ट्रीज और shrubs, trees may be present, if trees are present, so it is in a scattered manner. Okay. After the subarctic region, we come to the temperate region, where you will find temperate forest, which mostly included grassland, chaparral, or deserted area. Temperate is further divided into like deciduous, savanna, and grassland. Savanna and grassland mostly is same, because savanna is also a type of a grassland. Okay, but it is mostly a man-made grasses plus scattered trees. That's why it is known as savannas. This is the difference, that in savanna you will find the trees but in a scattered form, and in grassland you only find grassland where the rainfall is very low, and grassland is said is naming differently. Like in North America, it is grassland is known as the prairies. In Europe, it is known as the steppes, and in Southern America, it is known as pampas. Okay, and desert is already clear, where the rainfall is very low and no trees are found. Only deserted plants are there, less amount of rain. Okay, and tropical forest. Tropical forest, basically it is present in a equatorial region, tropical region, or I can say equatorial region, where plenty of rainfall is there, and it is rich in flora as compared to the temperate forest. That's why in a tropical region their productivity may be more. If we are compared to tropical, temperate, and subtropical region, in this region, because of the high rich flora and fauna and diversity, and much more precipitation and sunlight, and more nutrient, then their productivity is more in a tropical region. I hope I am clearing. Okay, now so in this case you will just go read their features, some features, what is in tundra, and the productivity. Like in tropical forest, as compared to the temperate, boreal, and tundra, more productivity is in tropical forest. Okay, but when we compare a tropical and an open ocean, then productivity will be more in an open ocean as compared to the tropical forest. Okay, now structure or component of ecosystem. Okay, the main structure and components of the ecosystem are biotic and abiotic. These are the two major component, and overall relationship इन्हीं के बीच में है, इन्हीं के बीच में हम relationship study करते हैं, and कैसे energy flow होता है वो भी हम इसी में देखते हैं, and ये कैसे behave करते हैं एक several climatic condition में उस area में रहकर, and how they are related to the species diversity, how species are present there and surviving there. All we are get to know about the abiotic through the abiotic and biotic components. So let's discuss what is biotic components. Basically, all we know biotic components are the living organism which is living in an environment and form its combinatory. Okay, so it's referred to the including producer, consumer, and decomposers. Okay, it included large life forms like trees and mammals, or small life form like insects, and microscopic life form or the decomposer. So biotic classification, it is of three types: producer, consumer, and decomposers. Which is you all know, producers are basically the autotrophs which synthesize their own foods, and examples are green plants and cyanobacteria. Chemosynthetic bacteria, like cyanobacteria is one of a type of a bacteria which can synthesize their own food. Okay, then consumers, they are the heterotrophs. If the consumers are further divided into three categories: primary consumers, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Why we are studying this? Because इसी से ही हमारा trophic level decide होता है and इनसे इनका क्या relations है we can calculate. Okay. Then all we know primary consumers are herbivores which are plant eaters, secondaries are the primary carnivores and the tertiary are the secondary carnivores. Last is decomposer which also has very important role in the flow of energy and it completed the cycle and recycling of nutrient in the environment. Saprotrophs, it is feed on dead plants and animal matters. We all know they are essential for recycling of nutrients. So worms, millipedes, seed star, crabs, dung flies, all are the decomposers. Then abiotic component, basically non-living components in general, including physical and the chemical component. Physical component which included the energy, climate, raw materials, and useful for the growth and maintenance, and chemical, which are the nutrients, which have just discussed, essential nutrient required by us or the plants. Okay, we also require some nutrients like organic substances, protein, lipids, carbohydrate, inorganic substances, all micro and macro elements. These are the chemical component and the physical component. Now, after the structure of component, we will discuss the function of ecosystem. The functioning of ecosystem may be understood studying the following terms: productivity and the flow of energy. Why we are studying the function of man? और हमें कैसे अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे? एक तो प्रोडक्टिविटी एंड फ्लो ऑफ एनर्जी, एनर्जी कैसे फ्लो हो रही है विद इन द सिस्टम. ओके, देन द साइक्लिंग ऑफ मटेरियल एंड न्यूट्रिएंट्स एंड द डेवलपमेंट एंड द स्टेबलाइजेशन. ये थ्री चीजें हैं हमें. तो लेट अस फर्स्ट डिस्कस द एनर्जी फ्लो व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, फर्स्ट थिंग, इट इज अ की फंक्शन ऑफ इकोसिस्टम एनर्जी फ्लो जो हमें चाहिए. सेकेंड, energy is unidirectional. It is not bidirectional. Please remember it is unidirectional. Okay, and energy and nutrients are passed from one organism to other organism through a food chain as one organism eat another. So food chain, food web, or ecological pyramids. Three things also define the flow of energy, which we'll be going to discuss in a further slides. And remember, it is unidirectional. Second, it's depend on the two law of thermodynamics. First law state that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it is changed into from one form to another. Like the ultimate source of energy is sun, and we got energy from sun, and then it is converted into a chemical energy. Okay, so we cannot create energy or it cannot be destroyed. It is just change its form. So from sun, it is changed into chemical, then it enter into the plant and change into a chemical energy like this. Okay, and the second law is said that when the energy is transformed, there is a loss of energy through the release of heat. Yes, in each topic of level, there is a loss of energy when we cross one first to, मतलब previous वाले आपके topic level पे ज़्यादा energy होगी as compared to the next one. Okay, most of the energy is used by the previous organism at the previous topic level, and the next one will be get only the 10% law. So which is 10% law of energy rule is follow here, that only 10% energy is passes from one topic level to other topic level. Okay, now I already told you that food chain, food web, and ecological pyramids, three things define the energy flow in the system. Okay, so first is food chain. Very basic. Food chain is a linear chain, or it is a sequence of eating and being eaten in an ecosystem. कौन किसको खा रहा है and कौन किसे खा रहा है, मतलब हाँ, sequence of eating and being eaten. Who eat it whom. Okay. So it can show how each living thing get foods and how nutrient and energy are passed from creator to creator. It basically start with the primary energy source and end with the top predators. Okay. And when organism die, yes, then it is eventually eaten by the detritivores or a decomposers, and the exchange of energy continues. That their role is recycling of nutrient. So वो वापस न्यूट्रिएंट को सॉइल में या प्लांट में अवेलेबल कराता है, देन अगेन द साइकिल स्टार्ट. तो बेसिकली फूड चेन जो है इट इज लीनियर, सो इट इज नॉट मोर देन 4 to 5 legs. So this is a very basic example of food chain. Producer, then primary consumer, then secondary consumer and tertiary consumer, जो हमने अभी पहले पढ़ा था structure of ecosystem में. Okay. Then it is two types: grazing food chain and detritus food chain. What is the difference? Grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Grazing food chain basically it start from the, remember, living green plants. Basically producers से start होते हैं, but detritus already name suggests detritus. ऐसे याद रखो, detritus mean it started with the detrivores or the decomposer, मतलब dead organic matter से. ठीक है. एंड यहाँ पे आपका जो एनर्जी का सोर्स होता है ग्रेजिंग फूड चेन में वो सन होता है. डेट्राइटिस में जो होता है डेड ऑर्गेनिक प्लांट ही उसका एनर्जी होता है. ठीक है. और एक चीज और, ग्रेजिंग फूड चेन जो है आपका ना, प्लीज नोट आउट, वो एक्वेटिक सिस्टम में ज्यादा डोमिनेट होता है, विच आई फॉरगॉट टू मेंशन हियर बट आई टोल्ड. तो ये क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि विच फूड चेन इज डोमिनेंट इन एक्वेटिक सिस्टम और व्हाट, मतलब और या फिर ग्रेजिंग फूड चेन में कौन सा सिस्टम वो है. सो फूड ग्रेजिंग फूड चेन में आपका डोमिनेंट है एक्वेटिक सिस्टम एंड डेट्राइटिस में है टेरेस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टम. ओके. So detritus food chain is followed in a terrestrial ecosystem majorly, and grazing food chain is majorly followed in a aquatic system. And here less fraction of energy is flow, and here large fraction of energy is flow. Here it bind to inorganic nutrient to get the energy. Here it releases the organic nutrient and bound in a organic matter. And I told you that in this grazing food chain, the source of energy is sun, so it is depend on the solar radiation, where in this it will depend on the dead organic matter, so it get energy from the dead organic matter or detritus. That's why it is termed as detritus. Okay. Now food web. Basically food web is a interlocking pattern, or हम you can say easily to remember internetworking. Web से ही याद रखो, web will tell you, web means networking. So it is a internetworking or it is a interlocking pattern of various food chain in an ecosystem is known as food web. Okay. They are indispensable in ecosystem because it allow organism to obtain its food. मतलब एक से ज्यादा ऑर्गेनिज्म से you can obtain food. Okay. Like here the example suggests that grasses is eaten by mouse also, and mouse is being eaten by fox or a owl. So like this, if fox also eaten rabbit, if there is a scarcity of rabbit or there is a इसको क्या कहते हैं, मतलब rabbit नहीं होंगे तो they can survive on mouse also, or hawk can eat rabbit or mouse also. If there is no mouse, so they can eat rabbit or they can eat snake, like this. So this is interconnecting, मतलब scarcity नहीं होगा. अगर हम linear food chain की बात करें, मतलब हम food chain की बात करें, तो अगर आपका producer कम होगा, मतलब अगर वहां पर यही एक इनमें डिफरेंस है कि अगर वहां पे प्रोड्यूसर्स आपके एक्सटिंक्ट हो जाएंगे तो आपकी जो फर्दर ट्रॉपिक लेवल है वो डिस्टर्ब हो जाएगी. बट it this case can't be seen in a food web. यहाँ पे ऐसे नहीं होता because it allow you to obtain your food from more sources, not from only one type of sources. Okay, like grass may be eaten by insects, rats or deers, and those may be eaten by some carnivores. Thus, there is the interlocking of various food chain. That's why it is called food web. So, what is the significance? Why we are studying food chain and food web? Because they play a very important role in the ecosystem, energy flow and nutrient. Like also I already told you that the energy flow we are discussing with the we are studying with the help of the food chain, pyramids and food web. Okay, and it also cycling take place through them. Then they maintain and regulate the population size of different trophic levels, thus help in maintaining ecological balances. ये नहीं है कि एक ही टाइप का फूड पे डिपेंडेंट है तो ऑब्वियसली डिस्टेबलाइजेशन हो जाएगा अगर एक ही किसी टॉपिक लेवल पे extinction occur होगी. Okay, or they have the property of biomagnification. The non-biodegradable materials keep on passing from one trophic to level another, which is जो आपने biomagnification का best example है eggshell of thinning of eggshells of birds in case of birds. It's a good example of biomagnification because of the passing of DDT from one trophic level to another trophic level, and its successive tropical level पर उनका जो कॉन्सेंट्रेशन है आपका नॉन बायोडिग्रेडेबल कंपोनेंट का वो इंक्रीज ही होता है ना कि डिक्रीज होता है. ठीक है, सो ये एक तरीके से कह लो काइंड ऑफ ड्रॉबैक है कि हाँ बायोमैग्निफिकेशन करने में हेल्प करता है. ओके, so this is a basic trophic levels. We can have up to 5 tropical levels. It's a general example. First tropic level which is given to the producers. Second topic because it is the ecological pyramid diagram. Second, we are giving to a primary consumers, or we can say it is a feeding level also. Third, trophic levels carnivores. Fourth, secondary carnivores, and apex and predators after the carnivores it came. Finally, represent the last trophic level, but हम उसे कभी टॉपिक्स में दिखाते नहीं है, but they are there क्योंकि at the end decomposers का major role है basically to degrade the dead organic matter. Okay, now another ecological pyramids which is help you to understand the energy flow in a system, which is basically nothing. Ecological pyramids is a graphical representation of structure and function of trophic level. And you know ecological pyramids को हम Eltonian pyramid भी कहते हैं because it is given by Charles Elton. Charles Elton ने दिया था. That's why it is also known as Eltonian pyramid. It's basically to tell you the flow of energy or a biomass at each trophic level. Okay, हर ट्रॉपिक लेवल में क्या बायोमास है और क्या एनर्जी का फ्लो है सिर्फ ये बताता है. ओके, so there are 3 kind of ecological pyramids, that is pyramids of number, pyramids of energy and pyramid of biomass. First come the pyramids of number. It basically tell you the number of individual in population in a food chain. हर ट्रॉपिक लेवल पे कितने नंबर ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स हैं उसी को ही हम पिरामिड्स नंबर ऑफ पिरामिड्स कहते हैं. ओके, एंड इट कैन बी uprighted or it can be upright or inverted. Okay, both upright भी होता है and inverted भी होता है. Please remember pyramid of numbers is uprighted in a grassland ecosystem. Okay, क्योंकि producers बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं. ठीक है, और as compared to herbivores and carnivores, so thus in pyramids of number it is uprighted in the case of grassland ecosystem, but it is also inverted in a case of parasitic ecosystem or tree ecosystem. Maybe there is one tree which can feed a number of herbivores. Okay, एक ही ट्री हो, ठीक है, हम कह नहीं सकते, तो इसी डिपेंड अपॉन द नंबर ऑफ प्रोड्यूसर्स। तो आपको ये याद रखना है कि इन विच केस पिरामिड्स ऑफ नंबर इज inverted, in which type of ecosystem it is inverted, and in which type of ecosystem it is upright. Okay. So it is just the number of individual. Next is the pyramid of biomass. It represents the biomass per unit area of different trophic levels. It is also a two type, upright and inverted. Upright in the case of upright in the case of terrestrial ecosystem, but in the case of aquatic it is inverted. Okay, or we can say spindle shape. क्यों? क्योंकि in phytoplankton biomass is less is less as compared to their successive tropic levels. And here in aquatic, the biomass of tropic level basically depend upon the reproductive potential and the longevity of the member. Maybe more of the phytoplankton may dead, so there will be no, as compared to herbivores, producers जो हैं आपके, as compared to insects, phytoplanktons के जो biomass होंगे उनसे less होंगे. That's why in the case of aquatic habitat, remember, but देखो यहाँ पे ऐसे याद रखो, बायोमास में एक्वेटिक इकोसिस्टम में इन्वर्टेड था, बट पिरामिड ऑफ नंबर्स में वो अपराइट था. सी हियर इट इज, सॉरी इसमें तो एक्वेटिक है नहीं, हमारे से अपराइट ही होगा, ठीक है. एंड terrestrial कह सकते हैं, terrestrial it is inverted in a pyramids of number, but as compared to the biomass, terrestrial ecosystem have a maximum biomass occur in a producers, and there is a progressive decrease in a lower or higher trophic levels. So in a terrestrial ecosystem it is upright, and in aquatic ecosystem it is inverted. Sorry, here in a terrestrial में be further divided into grassland and tree, तो उसमें grassland में upright था, but उसमें inverted था. Okay. Then the last is pyramid of energy. यहाँ पे see 10% rule, 10% rule is followed. Okay, मतलब कि only 10% of energy is transferred to the other successive levels as compared. तो मतलब अगर जैसे for example प्लांट ने 100% एनर्जी सन से करा है, तो उसमें से 90% एनर्जी जो है प्लांट यूज कर लेगी, एंड ओनली 10% एनर्जी जो है वो प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर को देगी. तो ठीक है, तो मतलब 100 में से 90% तो प्लांट्स ने यूज कर लिया फॉर इट्स ग्रोथ, फॉर जनरेटिंग फूड्स एंड एवरीथिंग, एंड 10% क्योंकि जो स्टोर एनर्जी थी वो ट्रांसफर हो गई आपकी प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर में. ओके, एंड इन प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर, out of that 10%, primary consumer will use 9% for its function, and store 1% which is further transferred to the secondary consumer. Okay, and they are also secondary consumer use 0.9% and save 0.1%, and that's why it is said that कि ज्यादा हमारा, अब लॉजिक समझ में आया कि हमारे ज्यादा टॉपिक लेवल्स क्यों नहीं होते, क्योंकि इतनी एनर्जी ही नहीं होती कि वो हम तक पहुंचे. ओके, दैट्स व्हाई इट्स फॉलोड 10% लॉ रूल. ओके, सो एनर्जी, और ऑलवेज रिमेंबर एनर्जी पिरामिड इज ऑलवेज अपराइट. ठीक है, एंड इट इज मेजर इन जूल और कैलोरी. Okay, the last topic is population growth curve, or which is something just show that how the growth of a population over a time take place, pattern of the growth of the population. And first is the type of two types are there. One is the exponential growth, which is J shaped, and another is the sigmoid growth, which is curved. In a simple language, एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ शेप में का एक बेस्ट एग्जांपल है आपके इंसेक्ट्स, और वी कैन से बैक्टीरिया. ठीक है, क्यों? क्योंकि इसमें क्या होता है कि अनलिमिटेड रिसोर्स होता है एंड जब तक रिसोर्स होता है दे ग्रो एक्सपोनेंशियली. ओके, एंड जब रिसोर्सेस वो खत्म हो जाते हैं दे स्टॉप बेसिकली. ओके, मतलब दे कंटिन्यू टू इंक्रीज दिस पॉपुलेशन टिल द फूड या द रिसोर्सेज इज अवेलेबल. सिंपली कि जब तक रिसोर्सेज हैं they can grow exponentially, and after some time when the resources are limited or almost finished they can collapse. ओके, जब उस एरिया में लिमिटेड हो जाएगा तो वो डिक्रीज होने लगेगा. तो इसका जो पॉपुलेशन साइज है इसको हम कैलकुलेट करते हैं dn अपॉन dt इज इक्वल टू rn. rn बेसिकली बायोटिक पोटेंशियल होता है. बायोटिक पोटेंशियल मीन मैक्सिमम रिप्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी of an organism under the optimum period. मतलब उनकी maximum reproduction capacity. n is a population size. dn upon dt represent the rate in change in population. So it is grow till the क्या कहते हैं resources are there, and when the resources is limited they will be disappear, they will be collapse. Okay, like for best example is insect population. So यहाँ पे एक चीज देखो, जो ये r है दिस इज टाइम के रिस्पेक्ट में इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शन है. इट्स मीन दैट कि अगर तुम्हारा जितना बड़ा आर होगा तुम्हारा रेट ऑफ जनरेशन उतना कम होगा. मतलब कि उतनी ही फास्ट पॉपुलेशन ग्रो करेगी, कम टाइम में ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन ग्रो करना. आई एम रिपीटिंग वंस अगेन. सो दिस इक्वेशन आर इज indirectly proportional to 1 upon k t. T is a generation time. If r is more, the generation time is less, meaning they will reproduce more in a less time. And if r is low, then it will take more time to grow. Okay, बेसिकली वो कम टाइम में ग्रो करेगा जब आर बड़ा होगा, और जब आर जब छोटा होगा तो वो ज्यादा टाइम लेगा अपने आप को ग्रो करने के लिए. So this is the graph of population size. Okay, next is the last is the sigmoid growth curve, or you can also say it's the logistic growth curve, which is basically S shape. इसमें आपका क्या होता है, लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज होता है, लिमिटेड रिसोर्स में ही पॉपुलेशन ग्रो करती है. तो इसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल है वी ह्यूमन बीइंग आल्सो कम इनटू दिस टाइप ऑफ एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ. नो 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 वी आर नॉट कम, सॉरी. इन दिस टाइप में बैक्टीरिया आता है, उसमें क्या कहते हैं आपका फंगस आएगा उस वाले में, इंसेक्ट में. इस वाले केस में आपका बैक्टीरिया होगा जिस वाले केस में. ओके, तो इसमें आपके 4 फेजेस होते हैं. हेयर लैग फेज, जो फर्स्ट फेज होता है जिसमें ऑर्गेनिज्म एक एरिया में इंट्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, एंड वेरी स्लोली इट विल बिगिन टू ग्रो. दिस इज कॉल्ड पॉजिटिव एक्सेलरेशन. इन अ मिडिल फेज, also called logarithm phase or a acceleration phase, population will increase, become rapid. ठीक है, population increase is rapid. Then negative acceleration phase or deceleration phase, where population increase will be slow down, and after some time they attain a saturation level, means there will be no further increase, and it is donated by K, which is known as the carrying capacity. ठीक है, मतलब कैरिंग कैपेसिटी का मतलब है कि एक सिस्टम या एक एनवायरमेंट या एक कम्युनिटी में बताता है कि कितने नंबर ऑफ इंडिविजुअल, हाउ मेनी इंडिविजुअल्स कैन बी accommodate over the population, accumulate in an habitat. एक habitat में कितने. तो यहाँ पे इस कंडीशन में लिमिटेड ही रिसोर्स होता है, लिमिटेड ही नंबर ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स रहेंगे. जो सरवाइव कर गए, जो फाइट कर गया सरवाइव कर गया वो बच गए, जो नहीं सरवाइव कर गए, एंड जो कमजोर है वो कर गए. तो यहाँ पे कैरिंग कैपेसिटी आता है आपका. ओके, dn upon dt is a rate change in a population size, r is a biotic potential, n is a potential size, k minus n upon k is the environmental resistance. यहाँ पे environmental resistance है this whole thing, k minus n upon k, this is whole thing is a, and only k is a carrying capacity, कि वो बताता है कि कितने number of individuals is fitting in that community. Okay, but यहाँ पे resistance होती है resistance in the case of limited nitrogen, resources. Okay, तो ये बताता है कि कितना ही अवेलेबल होगा एनवायरमेंट की रिसोर्सेज है कि कितने पॉपुलेशन आ सकता है, वरना नहीं. ओके, तो दिस इज द ग्रोथ मॉडल. इस पे न्यूमेरिकल बेस होते हैं, इन्हीं के फॉर्मूले पे बेस्ड होते हैं. आपको एन या के इनकी वैल्यू दे दिया जाता है. ठीक है, एंड आई होप इट्स क्लियर टू ऑल ऑफ यू. And if there is doubt, you can contact me. Okay, this is just a basic concept of ecology, or we can say ecosystem. Thank you.